Hey, what is up guys, JQ, and welcome back to a brand new art video. Now, today we will be looking at two different brands, well, not necessarily brands, but grades of the same brand of colored pencil. So we will be comparing the I can't talk today. We will be comparing the Prismacolor Scholar and the Prismacolor Premier. So looking at a student grade versus a artist grade pencil. And you can see that there's pretty much a quite drastic difference between them, especially with colored pencils. You will notice, you will feel if you have something cheap compared to something expensive. Even though these pencils, like the Prismacolor Premiers, are still on the lower end of artist grade. So this line art that I'm printing out right now is from baileyj.com. It is a free downloadable line art that you can, get for free and color for yourself. And for some reason, it printed out pretty small, because this is actually a 6x8 piece of paper. And yeah, I had to cut it down. So for the Prismacolor Scholar, why can I not talk today? Pretty much the things that I liked about them is, like, for quick projects they are okay, like quick doodles like this, you could say. They're great just like using them on their own, like blending them with the pencils themselves, but they are like not good to blend with paint thinner, because they are just like very waxy and not very pigmented. So the paint thinner pretty much like grabs onto nothing and actually like makes the colored pencil look a bit chalky instead of like compared to what it was before. So if you're going to use these pencils, I suggest you actually use them on their own, because they're way better. I don't know why this is a picture. Okay, anyways. Another like bad thing, I guess you could say, is that they do not layer well, because they are more waxy than they are pigmented. They do not layer color very well, because you can see on this building I'm using like a very saturated brown, and I'm trying to like tone it down with a purplish blue, so like violet, and the color barely shows up. Like, just to say there's a hint of color, but besides that it doesn't, because there's just such a thick layer of wax with just one layer that you can barely do anything on top. But yeah, overall they're a pretty great and affordable pencil to start off with. They're actually the pencil that I started with when I like started drawing, and they were okay. They weren't the greatest, but they're great for like basic coloring. But just do keep in mind that you have to not use paint thinner with them. The reason there's blue on top of that building is because there was like leftover pigment from when I did the sky, and I forgot to clean my brush, so when I brushed on top of the pink it just did that. And it was not erasable. That was stained. Now with the Prismacolor Premier, in this piece I actually completely changed the color palette, because I did not pay attention to what I was doing on the other one. So like I just ended up having too many like similar colors next to each other, and it didn't look great. I didn't do that much of a greater job in this one, but I like it a bit better. So yeah, with the Prismacolor Premier, first of all, they are just so much easier to lay down. They lay down very smoothly. They are highly pigmented, and yeah, they're just like creamier, and they do layer quite okay. They do build up a wax like a wax layer quite fast compared to other professional artist grade wax pencils, but they're still just a great beginner artist grade pencil. And they have an extremely wide variety of colors. They have at least 150, I think, of colors. That's the set that I got last year, and it actually runs for fairly cheap. I think it was like $400 at Michael's Canadian, and you use a 40% or 50% off coupon, and you got yourself a 200, like nearly like $1.25 or something. I don't know, I didn't do the math, but like $1.25 dollar per pencil for 150 pencils total. So yeah, they are very cheap. The only downside though is that most of the colors are not light fast, and I've heard some complaints about like the wood casing splitting if you were to sharpen them like by hand, but I haven't had that problem yet. I use an electric sharpener, but I do quite often use a hand sharpener, like those little pencil case ones, and it hasn't broke on me yet. Another downside is that they don't hold a very fine tip, so it's quite hard to get details with these pencils, but they do blend quite well with odorless mineral spirits. I can't talk, it's so late. I'm so sorry. But yeah, overall, I do recommend both these brands of pencils for starting off, like getting introduced to art. You go with Scholars, they're like just great to learn, and then you go with the Prismacolor Premier to just get like introduced to the world of like artist grade art supplies. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.